In today's video, I'm going to show you how I built this beautiful, self-sustaining mini shrimp ecosystem for under $100. It's compact, low maintenance, and the best part, you can build one too. So I've been spending a lot of time at my desk lately editing videos for my main channel, Simply Tanks, and honestly, it was starting to feel a little dead. So I jumped on OfferUp and found this tank for just $5. It's small and a little scratched up, but perfect for what I had in mind. The goal is to set up a no-filter, low-tech tank that basically runs itself, needing minimal maintenance. First things first, we're starting with the substrate. I'm reusing some aqua soil from one of my old tanks. This stuff is gold. It's packed with beneficial bacteria and it's already cycled, which is going to give this new ecosystem a serious head start. This particular aqua soil is from Fluval, and honestly, it's my go-to. It holds its shape, it's nutrient rich, and it doesn't cloud up the water like some of the cheaper stuff. After laying down the Fluval substrate, I finished it off with a clean strip of sand running right down the middle of the tank. It adds a ton of depth and contrast, kind of like a little riverbed cutting through the layout. It just makes the whole thing pop. To give it a more natural look, I also sprinkled in some tiny rocks around the edges. Nothing crazy, just enough to add some texture and make it feel like a real little ecosystem forming in there. After setting the substrate in sand, it was time to start building out the hardscape. Some cholla wood logs. You might remember these from the swamp ecosystem build. They're perfect for a setup like this because they break down slowly, release tannins, and give shrimp a ton of surface area to graze on. Plus, they just look super natural. I went with a mix of white and black stones, kind of like the ones we used in the river ecosystem build. I love how they contrast with the sand and tie everything together without looking too placed, if that makes sense. Once the hardscape was locked in, it was time to fill the tank. And this part's always a little nerve-wracking. You don't want to mess up all that careful placement, especially with the sand and smaller rocks. I used aged water from one of my established tanks to fill it up. That way, I'm not starting from scratch with parameters or beneficial bacteria. It gives the ecosystem a jumpstart and helps avoid that cloudy new tank look. Once it was filled, I gave it a few minutes to settle and just watched it. Even without anything moving in there yet, it already felt alive. The contrast between the sand, the dark substrate, the stones, and the cholla wood, it all just came together way better than I imagined. About 5 days in, I did a small water change, just to keep things stable. The tank was still crystal clear, but I always like to do at least one early water change, just to flush out any leftover debris or nutrients from the substrate that might cause a spike. So I made my way over to the pet store to check out their plant selection. The first plant I added was an enthusiast. I grabbed a small one and attached it to one of the white rocks from the hardscape using a little bit of super glue gel. Enthusiast is one of my go-to plants because it's nearly indestructible, doesn't need a lot of light, and it looks good in pretty much any setup. Plus, it'll slowly grow right onto the rock over time, which always looks super clean. The enthusiast is all planted, and the tank is really starting to come together. It's crazy how even with just one plant, some simple hardscape, it already feels like a full little ecosystem. The water's clear, everything's settled in, and it's looking just about ready for shrimp. But we're gonna give it a little more time to mature. So in the next update, we'll be adding the shrimp and finally bringing this setup to life. So I woke up on day 14, and the first thing I thought was, it's shrimp day. I actually made a post on the community tab asking which color shrimp you guys like best, and blue won by a mile. So I went into my giant shrimp ecosystem and carefully scooped out a few Blue Dream Neocaridina. These shrimp are so vibrant. I ended up adding 2 females and 1 male to start things off. That ratio is super important if you're planning to breed. Too many males can stress the females out, especially in a small tank like this. With 2 females to 1 male, we're setting the stage for a balanced, healthy little colony right from the jump. Now that the shrimp are in, we're just gonna let this little ecosystem evolve on its own. No more big changes, just observation and patience. Hopefully we'll start seeing some baby shrimp down the line. If you enjoyed watching this build come together, make sure you're subbed so you don't miss the next update. I'll be sharing how the shrimp are doing, if they start breeding, and any cool changes that happen as this mini ecosystem matures. And if you've got ideas for the future desk tanks, I'm always down to start another weird little project. So subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload.